This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. Drugs, politics, and a Reagan-Noriega deal. The Florida federal judge presiding over the case now is among those publicly questioning President Reagan's confirmed willingness to drop U.S. drug-running charges against Panama's General Noriega if that's what it takes to get Noriega out of power and out of Panama. This furor comes amid election year questions about Noriega, drugs, and the U.S., the unanswered questions about how and why General Noriega was secretly a paid U.S. informant even after the drug allegations were known. And Bill Plant begins our coverage on this.
The White House insists the U.S. has not yet made a deal with Noriega, but sources say the administration has offered to back off, drop drug trafficking indictments against the Panamanian strongman if he leaves the country, even temporarily.
If you got a deal like that, it'd be the best plea bargain I ever heard of. But I'm not telling you there is such a deal because, as far as I know, there is not such a deal.
As the White House spokesman noted, plea bargains usually imply you're getting something for giving up something. And the idea of dropping the indictments produced a bipartisan storm of protest and charges that U.S. policy in Panama has been one bungled move after another.
What we have here is an administration that set its hair on fire and is trying to put it out with a hammer.
How can this nation talk tough about drug enforcement when it's willing to drop all charges against a known drug dealer?
I'm not saying anything on that subject today.
Even many in the Justice Department reportedly oppose the idea. Leon Kellner, the U.S. attorney from Florida who brought one of the indictments, flew to Washington to voice his concern. And the head of the Drug Enforcement Administration spoke out publicly against dropping the indictments.
Our negotiating with an individual who has been charged with drug trafficking is the wrong message to give.
And the Democratic presidential candidates quickly tried to capitalize on the furor.
I don't believe you drop indictments against suspected drug runners and murderers.
He's either guilty or he is not. You cannot put ink on him one day and decide the next day by some form of voodoo or astrology that he's no longer guilty.
A lot of Republicans see a looming political disaster, but the White House and the State Department see the indictments as a chip to be bargained away if it'll get Noriega out of Panama. And one final note, a federal judge in the case says no one's talked to him, and he reminded a reporter that no indictment can be dismissed without his consent. Bill Plant, CBS News, the White House.
As spokesman for President Reagan and other officials talk up the idea of a plea bargain deal with Noriega, Noriega himself apparently sees the U.S. deal as backing down and strengthening his hand. Noriega's opponents in Panama think so too. Juan Vasquez is there.
In yet another demand, Noriega's negotiators said today they want the removal of some 2,000 American troops from Panama. Their deployment 2 months ago was widely viewed as an American show of force. These days, it is Noriega who is showing his own forcefulness. Noriega negotiator Romulo Escobar boasted that the general's tough stance has made him a hero throughout Latin America. In Panama, the news that the United States is prepared to drop the indictments brought little open reaction, but opponents of the regime are clearly disappointed at the latest American concessions.
Apparently their only option was to go into a negotiating scenario, which seems to be sort of a surrender with a lot of cosmetics.
Noriega's lawyers always considered the indictment a bargaining chip.
The United States was practicing indictment diplomacy, and that the indictment of him was a politically motivated indictment.
Critics fear that lifting U.S. pressure will allow Noriega to take an even harsher approach against opponents. Throughout nearly a year of sporadic demonstrations, the opposition has been unable to topple the general, but he's been unable to govern without the frequent use of force.
Over 1,800 Panamanians have been arrested arbitrarily. More than 1,000 have been wounded with birdshot or with bullets. Dozens, if not hundreds, have been beaten and sometimes tortured.
The two sides have met 8 times in the last 2 months, once in this luxury hotel. Another meeting is scheduled Monday. Noriega told reporters recently that he does not negotiate with the United States, he simply listens to proposals. The longer he manages to remain in power, his critics say, the more those proposals sound like concessions. Juan Vasquez, CBS News, Panama City.
In Washington, new and powerful backing in Congress today for the idea of getting the U.S. military more involved in fighting the war on drugs. CBS News Defense Department correspondent David Martin reports on that controversy.
A high-tech weapon in the war against drugs. Air Force officers aboard an AWACS radar plane search for small aircraft smuggling drugs into the U.S. The Defense Department already spends $67 million a year on a largely unsuccessful effort to shut down the drug flow. And today on Capitol Hill, the influential chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee said he will introduce a bill that would force the Pentagon to take a much more active role.
The military would play the role of helping to set up the command and control and communications that would lead the fight against drugs.
The Pentagon is reluctantly bowing to public pressure to do more, but warns there will be a price to pay.
We're prepared to cooperate further. That requires resources, and those resources have to come from somewhere. And they can't affect the readiness of this country to defend itself.
Enlisting the Pentagon's vast array of ships and aircraft in the war against drugs is clearly a popular idea. But will it work? Navy hydrofoils recently spent 3 months on anti-drug patrol in the Caribbean without making a single catch. That's because drug smugglers already have gone to different routes. Commercial cargo like this lumber shipment, which contained 9 tons of cocaine. But Customs only has enough agents to inspect 1% of the cargo coming into this country. And weapons built for combat are not suitable for sealing off borders.
The only way that an F-16 is really prepared to deal with a Cessna flying across our border is to shoot it down. The first time we shoot down a dentist flying back from Key West in a Cessna who doesn't have the right radio equipment on board, then we will have another problem.
Defense Secretary Carlucci spent much of the afternoon negotiating with Senate leaders, trying to set strict limits on what the military will be required to do. Pentagon officials make no secret of the fact that they do not like being handed a mission they believe is guaranteed to fail. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Sending in military forces is just one proposal. As part of our continuing CBS News investigation into what is and isn't being done about the drug abuse plague, tonight a close-to-home frontline look at how drugs are destroying entire American neighborhoods and individual lives. Our CBS stations and affiliates around the country showed us what they've been finding in their own streets and yours. An all too familiar but shocking scene, the American drug scene.
Police! Police! Take what? Police! Get your hands up, man! Get him up! Get him up! Get him up! Get him out there! Get him out the room! Get him up! Where are you doing? Oh, I said! Get him alone! Shut up! God damn it! Hands ready. Oh, what's that there, Mike? Ton more crack. We got it, bud.
Drug abuse is becoming a routine part of American life.
The only reason I got high because I wanted to be cool. It started out as marijuana, and then cocaine, and then LSD.
Lies.
There have been warnings.
1 out of every 5 people who try cocaine get hooked. But that's not your problem. Or is it?
And there have been drug rehabilitation programs. But it's so available, so cheap, so easy to take, that it hooks people without their knowing it.
Are you addicted?
Not real bad. I mean, I've been spending a lot of money lately, and I really don't like it, you know.
Yet the American appetite for drugs increases. In this sting operation, police are arresting the buyers.
The dealers are going to push whatever they can to get their people hooked and paying them money. And that, I think, is the bottom line in the drug trade. It works because of money.
It works with deadly accuracy when aimed at America's youth. A 17-year-old shot to death in a dispute over drugs in this crack house.
I've never seen the volume of casual violence before that's been associated with crack cocaine use, especially with young people. They are extremely cavalier in the way in which they will take another person's life.
Has anybody ever threatened to kill you?
Several times.
Lisa was an addict who sold bad drugs to support her habit.
I might get killed from the fact that I you know, what I've done to so many people, and then I don't remember all of them. Maybe they remember me. So I could walk out my door and step down the steps and might get killed.
Lisa was shot to death at the age of 21. No matter what form it comes in, dope can kill anyone who goes near it.
Seems like everybody's into drugs for some reason or other. I don't know why. I really don't. It's a shame, because we see a lot of lives come through here that are wasted.
Yet the supply increases despite intensified police action.
The police! Open up! Police officers come out where
it's a harassment tactic which is designed to keep these people on the move, on the run. Keep them from putting the bars on the door and setting up a security perimeter around you. Just keep them moving.
This drug operation was so heavily fortified that police could not get through the front door. It took an assault on this house by a police SWAT team and an armored vehicle to finally force this drug dealer outside.
The most discouraging thing is if we would arrest every pusher, close down every dope pad in the city or in the state or in the country for that matter. That's only the symptoms that we just cured.
There's a lot of hostility out there. You know, everybody's trying to fight for territory and survival and jobs, and some people can't cope with life. And this is their way of getting away from reality.
Here we go.
Scenes becoming very familiar in America.
How do you do it with your kid in the car?
What? Let me take care of her, Reese.
How can you do that with your little girl in the car?
100 times a day I used to hear, "Mom, where's the mustard?" or, "Honey, I can't find the ice cream." But not with our new Whirlpool refrigerator. The shelves slide out so you can reach food way at the back. And with the slide-out baskets in the freezer, nothing gets hidden away.
Oh, by the way, honey, you seen my golf clubs?
If they're in there, you'll find them.
We're making your world a little easier. Whirlpool.
Well, if it isn't Clark Riley's ex-fiancée, Lisa, right?
Hello, Clark.
I see you're still eating from the two major food groups, sugar and preservatives.
And you're still eating Nutri-Grain.
It's good for you. It's good for you, too.
You still care?
The surprising taste of Nutri-Grain Almond Raisin with no preservatives and no sugar added.
So do I get a bowl?
Is this a new Lisa?
People change.
Kellogg's Nutri-Grain.
Dedicated to the ones we love.
You know, Canon's new personal zoom copier can magnify my image.
Or cut you down to size.
And Canon cartridges sure make it easy to maintain, which makes this PC7 the newest star in my family.
Guess you can't pick your relatives.
Personal copiers for every personality.
If you're concerned about heart disease and your doctor advises exercise, the right foods, and an aspirin a day, you should know that heart specialists recommend Ecotrin more than Bayer when they're concerned about aspirin irritation because it's safety coded. Ecotrin, the one heart specialists recommend.
To hear Secretary of State Schultz tell it, in Geneva today, the Soviets gave in. Schultz said they resolved final trouble points of the missile deal signed at the last Reagan-Gorbachev summit in Washington. Trouble reportedly caused by the Soviets when they recently tried to back out of the missile treaty terms to prevent cheating. Still unclear whether today's new Soviet assurances are enough and in time to get the U.S. Senate to ratify the treaty before the upcoming Moscow summit. Under the treaty signed by both superpowers last month in Geneva, Soviet forces are to begin withdrawing from Afghanistan this weekend. Thousands have already pulled back from the battle zone of eastern Afghanistan, but as they retreat, the war is following them. Correspondent Bill McLaughlin narrates our report from London.
A joyful thumbs up, one young Russian soldier's view of the Soviet withdrawal from Afghanistan. The Soviet army is pulling in its horns, assembling columns of vehicles for the long voyage home that begins Sunday. The Afghan rebels, the Mujahideen, are not making the retreat easy for them. This homeward-bound convoy was hit a few days ago. Moscow is withdrawing, but it isn't leaving the Afghan communist regime defenseless. The Soviets will leave behind a huge infrastructure of Soviet weapons and aircraft, even sophisticated radar installations. But it all has to be used and manned by raw Afghan recruits like these, barely literate peasants, many of whom were rounded up and forced into uniform, likely candidates for defection to the rebel side. As the Soviet pullout date nears, the rebels are tightening their grip around Kabul, the capital. It has become a more dangerous place. Afghan troops patrol Kabul during the day, but at night the risks are greater. Soviet tanks take over. The country's puppet communist leader, President Najibullah, boasts that he will defeat the Mujahideen rebels. Most observers believe the question is not if his regime will survive, but for how long. Soviet officials like this TV correspondent try to put the best possible face on the withdrawal.
Everything will be good.
You believe there will be
peace here? Yes, I believe. Yes, of course.
But Moscow's troops just concentrate on getting out alive. These boys are listening to a hit song recorded by Soviet Afghan vets. It goes, "We will never forget. We have been through so much together that when we leave, we won't be able to hold back our tears." Bill McLaughlin, CBS News, London.
You're looking at birth control for roaches, an advance in biotechnology that goes beyond other roach killers. Only in Black Flag Roach Ender.
Other products kill, but leave survivors to breed thousands more roaches. Roach Ender brand kills and sterilizes young survivors before they can breed.
It kills the roaches and stops the breeding. Black Flag Roach Ender.
Black Flag makes a science of killing bugs.
I grew my world record cucumber with Miracle Grow plant food.
We asked world champion gardeners in the Guinness Book of World Records, which plant food do you use?
Miracle Grow.
Miracle Grow.
Miracle Grow.
Miracle Grow.
I swear by Miracle Grow. It's the best.
Hey, if world champion gardeners depend on Miracle Grow, shouldn't you? Now Miracle Grow is so easy to use with the Miracle Grow no-clog feeder. Just drop in and spray on. So fast, you'll feed your whole yard in minutes.
In North Carolina, Honda lawnmowers are assembled from the wheels up. Then the final critical step, the Clara Johnson test. If Clara pulls and it starts, it's a Honda.
Ship it.
This man is twice as strong as this man. Tom's EX is twice as strong as Rolaids, so when you have heartburn, get the stronger acid neutralizer. Tom's EX, twice as strong as Rolaids.
Even now, more than 13 years after the fall of Saigon, the legacy of Vietnam haunts the lives of many Americans who fought there. Medical correspondent Susan Spencer reports that on Capitol Hill today, some of them were still fighting for help and fighting the latest medical judgments about what happened to them, what really happened to them in the jungles of Indochina.
They fought and struggled and came home to a public that didn't care. But according to a new and controversial government study, Vietnam veterans overall did not suffer serious long-term health problems from that bitter war.
In terms of current physical health, they seem to be similar in most respects to their veteran peers who did not serve in Vietnam.
The Centers for Disease Control interviewed 15,000 men. Half served in Vietnam, half did not. On psychological measures, the Vietnam vets did show significantly more problems with alcohol, with depression, and anxiety. But physically, the study claims that despite concerns over the effects of Agent Orange, the only significant problems involved some hearing loss and an unexplained low sperm count. Yet the Vietnam vets had the same number of children as the other group, and hospital records showed no higher rate of birth defects. Some veterans groups disputed the numbers and worried that this report may hurt the fight to get more help for Vietnam vets.
I think our obligation as a country is to help those who are having problems, regardless of whether the study shows there's a great increase in these problems or not.
Anger surfaced too at a hearing today on Agent Orange. Veterans rejected the report's conclusion that there's no proof of significant problems, that more study is needed.
It's not a question of who's right or who's wrong. They ask for help now. They should have it. They deserve no more, but they certainly don't deserve any less.
Congress is considering monetary compensation for Agent Orange victims. Today's report may make that a harder fight. It shows that controversy over the war's health issues, like controversy over the war itself, is not easily resolved. Susan Spencer, CBS News, Washington.
White House officials said today President Reagan is, quote, mortified by descriptions of his long-awaited endorsement of George Bush last night as lukewarm. Some reports highlighted how brief the endorsement was and how Mr. Reagan at one point mispronounced George Bush's name. White House officials deny that it was in any way a half-hearted endorsement. For his part, Bush today called such talk of a lukewarm endorsement absurd and said he couldn't be more pleased. Michael Dukakis today tried to meet head-on one of the issues that George Bush has already homed in on, Dukakis' lack of foreign policy experience. Today, Dukakis fired back. He criticized Reagan-Bush administration handling of Panama's General Noriega. Dukakis also tried to stress his foreign policy know-how in a warm meeting during the day with South Africa's Bishop Desmond Tutu. Dukakis continues cementing the view that he is the inevitable Democratic Party presidential nominee. Still, Jesse Jackson is campaigning hard and will not quit. CBS News correspondent Betsy Aaron reports tonight how and why Jackson keeps on running.
Jesse Jackson refuses to say it's over, refuses to accept the numbers, and continues to crisscross the country searching for something he can call a victory.
As I run for the White House, I'm fighting the odds. No odd ever stopped me. No odd ever stopped me. Bail out Kenosha. Bail out these workers.
His downhill slide began in Wisconsin. Kenosha was the symbol. The plant closings, the unemployed, all those Democrats who had voted for Ronald Reagan, now thinking about coming back to the Democratic fold. They loved what Jesse Jackson had to say in Kenosha, but they didn't vote for him. On primary day in Kenosha, it was Dukakis over Jackson 2-1. In New York, Pennsylvania, Nebraska, about the same. Ohio and Indiana, 3-1. In West Virginia, 5-1.
It's turned into like more still a racist thing, and I vote for him because he's black.
I think people are probably wondering about his governmental and administrative experience.
It didn't start in Iowa and will not end in Atlanta. We will continue. We will continue.
The crowds are not always large, not always ecstatic, but Jackson is still running hard, almost to the point of exhaustion. The largest arena left, California, with its 314 delegates.
California, here we come.
At the end of the day, when we count the votes, it appears he's going to come in second, and unless we change the rules, you don't get nominated.
He has to face the fact that people are not going to vote for him to be president, although they were perfectly willing earlier to vote for him to be their messenger.
Jackson's positions make the Democratic Party leadership uncomfortable, but what he and the party want is a Democratic victory in November. For Jackson, his victory will come in July with a convention that becomes a platform for his ideas. Betsy Aaron, CBS News, Washington.
It takes time to get your gal to see the light. It takes time. It isn't always love at sight. From the first little glance, till she's ready for romance. Remember, little man, it takes time. It takes time to make the coffee percolate. It takes time to get your gal to set the date. From the first moonlit walk till you get the baby talk.
Introducing the Elegance Collection from Citizen.
Yeah.
My grandkids always told me all about their trips, but I could never be there to share it with them. You see, I have a bladder control problem. But thank goodness I finally found the protection I want with Attens.
Attens undergarments. It's the only one with gathers, so Attens can gap less than others and provides you better protection.
Now I'm as big a part of their lives as they are of mine.
Hey, everybody, smile. For protection you can live with, Attens.
Now for indigestion, gas, introducing new Extra Strength Malox Plus. It neutralizes more than any leading antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as new Extra Strength Malox Plus.
Captain, this itchy rash is driving me crazy.
Why didn't you use the Cord-Aid?
Cord-Aid goes beneath the skin to actually heal itches and rashes.
You know, itches and rashes won't last if you use Cord-Aid first.
Researchers caution loudly that results of a new study don't mean you can gorge on beef and chocolate. but the preliminary study, based on a sample of 11 healthy men, indicates one form of saturated fat may actually lower cholesterol levels. The complicated war against our nation's #1 killer is the subject of tonight's CBS News broadcast, 48 Hours. Beating heart disease. 48 Hours looks tonight at Americans who are winning that war. And right now, correspondent Richard Schlesinger looks at the latest volley in the great beef debate.
Scientific studies have led Americans through a whole menu of healthy diets, from fruit to salads to yogurt, and now beef and chocolate?
Really, beef and chocolate, huh?
Yeah.
Both?
Well, that's what some scientists say.
Right, okay.
Do you believe that beef and chocolate are good for you?
Yeah.
It all has to do with fat. Scientists are now saying that some of the fat in food like this is actually good for you because it lowers cholesterol. But there's another kind of fat found in the same food that raises cholesterol.
I hope it won't confuse people. There is the possibility that we might give out the wrong message, and we don't want to do that.
You go to one doctor, says one thing, you go to another doctor, says another thing. I say play it by ear.
This latest study is music to the ears of beef lovers at one of New York's oldest steakhouses. Sure, it's health food. It's great. But diners at the Beanstalk, a Manhattan health food restaurant, believe the studies that came before this study, the studies that say beef is bad.
And this is a salad with lettuce and onions, mushrooms, sprouts.
You want to have a steak?
Not at all.
There have been so many studies telling us to give up one thing or another that some people have decided to give up on studies.
I don't take what scientists determine just like that.
This latest group of scientists has determined that we should not start eating large amounts of beef yet, at least not until there is another study. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, New York.
Until 48 Hours, beating heart disease, tonight at 8, 7 Central Time. Dan Rather. See you again soon.
Good morning. You don't remember me.
You're Miss
I see
Higginbotham.
Thousands of Higginbothams every week.
Yes,
and a home loan has to go through many, many, many channels, and you're a busy, busy person, and we all must wait our turn. The computer's
Miss
down.
Higginbotham.
I can get a third job.
Miss Higginbotham,
Yes,
it's been approved.
that's okay. I'll come back another time.
Members of the First Nationwide Network treat you with respect, concern, and understanding. But don't worry, you'll get used to it.
A few words on the performing arts. The new Ford Probe GT, a performance you won't forget.
Headaches, backaches. The pain reliever unbeaten for all these everyday ailments is Tylenol. And Tylenol won't irritate your stomach like aspirin or even ibuprofen can. So choose Tylenol. It's tough on pain, easy on your stomach.
Just a sprinkle.
A day
helps keep
odor away.
And now with new unscented, Shower to Shower has 4 ways to help you feel drier and fresher between showers.
Have you had your sprinkle today?
Beating heart disease. Join Dan Rather as Americans take on the nation's #1 killer and win. 48 Hours tonight.
This is CBS.
Coming up on Eyewitness News, Fisk University is not the first school where Dr. Henry Ponder has faced questions about the way money has been handled.
In Murray, Ohio, workers take their anti-takeover case to Washington and they get a response. Plus, our city officials playing games with the folks in Pegram, Tennessee.
The answer to that question and more next on Eyewitness News.
Every new pickup sold at Invoice this weekend only. How does he sell them so Dad blame low? Tom Bannon Chevrolet, Gallatin Road, north of Briley Parkway.
Something has happened to your town.